wasn't here the last time, but
No, you
I'm here
wasn't.
this time.
Yes.
So I know we'd say it's a follow-on cover conversation, but for me, this is the first conversation. I'm not new to the candidacy, the candidate,
Right.
but I am new to the space. So tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Once again, I'm Dr. Daryl Dudley-Govan, candidate for third vice president for the Southern University Alumni Federation. If you've been following my campaign thus far, you know I'm from Lumberton, North Carolina. You know I've served 24 years in the United States Army. I currently serve as the Washington, D.C. third vice president. I've worked in the role of student relations with the chapter for the past 7 years. Um, I currently work for the Department of Defense, Strategic Workforce Planner. We're back again, and I thought it would be a great idea to just have a relaxed setting and bring my good friend onto the set and allow him to have a conversation with me about leadership and federation and being a candidate on the campaign trail and how all that is working out. So, friend, I'm glad that you're able to join me on today. We
Yeah.
have our setup, so please feel
That, that
free.
was that was that was how I got here. I'm like, bring a little champs, give me a little charcuterie, and I don't mind showing up. I've been showing up though for over 20 years.
Yes,
We go
yes.
back to the yard, back to 2005, before I was
2005,
Dr. Berry. We
before
was
you was
just
Dr. Barry.
walking the yard, working in SGA, Men's
Absolutely.
Federation, and things of that nature. I remember you was real big into one of the alumni clubs on campus that was for
Yes,
students.
yes.
I can't remember the name, so you got to bring us back up to speed in
This
terms of what that interaction looked like, because you've been with the alumni for quite some time.
I have. So that organization was the Southern University Student Alumni Association. Dr. Fortune, who was in the one of my freshman professors, she brought the idea to me, and she was like, "I think you would be a great person for this. You know, you're young, but you're experienced. You're older." And I think you would be the great person to move this forward. And I was like, I have no idea what this is, but as a leader, you never shy away from any mission. You take it and you execute, and that's
Now,
what I
was
did.
it brand new at the time, or it has existed before? Because I've heard different people speak recently about that organization, so I'm not sure if there have been different iterations of it. Are you trying to tell me that that was the beginning?
That was not the beginning of that organization. That organization has always been there. Um, Individuals didn't pay attention to it, and I would say, looking back on it now, 20 years later, they didn't utilize the organization to its maximum capacity. Like there was potential there, and while I was there, we made sure that we met with the alumni director once a month, and if we needed to meet more, we did. So it was an up and coming organization that we felt that it would play a big role going forward.
That's what's up. So, after you left Southern, where did you go?
So my obligation to the military took me back into the Army, commissioned through Southern University Army ROTC program. So shout out to Southern. You know, we have a history of producing generals. I knew that I wasn't going to be a general. I knew that I had a stopping point. But yes, we have 9 generals that have come from the ROTC program. So after Southern commissioning, that landed me in Fort Knox, Kentucky, and 1 month later, I found myself in Afghanistan for 11 months.
That's what's up. So I often tell people that when I first left Southern, it took me many years to even return back to the yard. I wasn't at homecoming. I
Correct.
wasn't at Bayou Classic. I was in Champaign, Illinois, out in the cornfields,
Corn.
working, studying, working on my PhD. We didn't have any alumni chapters. I wasn't connected to the federation, so it took many years. It wasn't until I got back to Washington D.C.
Correct.
before I even opened my eyes to the Alumni Federation. I'm
Correct.
curious to know for you, when did you first connect back to your alumni experience?
So I would say connecting back to the alumni experience, probably go back to 2012. I was relocated and stationed at Fort Hood, Texas. So then I was able to attend some of the football games, attend Bayou Classic, and but then in 2014 I got reassigned on the East Coast, so that made it a little difficult. And then once I was assigned to the Pentagon in 2017, that's when I became aware of the Washington, D.C. chapter. And I just knew that this was like, okay, it's my time. I'm going to be retiring and, soon. And this is where I want to lay my head and start giving back. Like all those promises that I made while on the yard with the Student Alumni Association, telling people find ways to give back because there's numerous ways of giving back. It's not all about money. It's not about just showing up at a football game waving a pom pom. It's actually about doing the work. And I made sure that I joined the chapter and began doing the work.
Yes, I think Southern's pride runs real deep in the alumni, especially the alumni who aren't necessarily in Baton Rouge, because
Correct.
sometimes you can take for granted what that really feels like in the
Correct.
experience and what sometimes
Yes.
you're missing and things of that nature. And so I like to say that our pride goes up a few notches.
It does. Being in the Washington D.C. chapter and being in, I'll say, the role as a third VP and you as our chapter president. Let's not forget that. Um, we carry a lot for the university on the East Coast. We're constantly competing against major universities on this East Coast. But everybody that has come to a Washington, D.C. chapter event, they leave with an experience. And that is what I want to take to the Federation. I think it's time. I feel like the Washington, D.C. chapter has been missed on the Federation level. And I want to be that person that brings back the Washington, D.C. chapter, having representation on the Federation level. And the third VP is the excellent and the almost common sense choice to do that.
We've been part of the chapter in Washington, D.C. since 2016.
2016 for you,
2016 for
17 for
me.
me.
And I remember just being welcomed in. I think at the time we had about 60 chapter members. We still
Yes.
had our signature Mardi Gras ball and
Yes.
crawfish bowl. And over time, we've grown past 150 plus members here and
Right.
there. I'm curious to know, what has your experience been like in the DC chapter? I know you've served in different capacities. Tell us a little bit about that.
I have to say, call me biased. I have to say that I love the DC chapter.
Well,
I
cheers
love
to that.
I love the experience. Um, the Mardi Gras ball, it's an experience.
Especially if you're the king. Not
Two
once,
time,
but two times,
two
right?
time king. We'll get into that because I want to make it very clear on how that became a thing. So, yes, it is an experience. And I think each year since 2017, since I became a member of this chapter, I think we've taken the experiences to another level. We've taken everything that we do from the president's role to the first, second, and third VP, we've taken that to another level, and my experience has been great. We have that melting pot of the variations of generations in our chapter, so it's always great to hear, the stories of Cal Sims, Regina Valentine, Mr. P.L. Harvey, hearing them talk about what they did in the past and using our skills and resources now, blending the two, and I think that's what makes our chapter so unique and the experience is worthwhile.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've been pressing upon our members and even more so our leadership during our various retreats,
Yes.
and that is there are many ways to support and love on Southern, right?
Correct.
And how we choose to give back. So many ways. It could be through your college advisory boards. For some people, that's buying season tickets to sporting events. For some, that's becoming life members of the
Hmm.
Federation or frequent donors of the foundation. There are just so many ways, or what I like to call vehicles, to give back to Southern. And I feel like our alumni chapters are one of those vehicles.
Yes.
But everybody doesn't hop into that vehicle to want that to be their move in terms of how they want to give back and love on Southern. How important is it for alumni to try to be connected to a chapter?
I think it's important because you can use the chapter as a vehicle to, like for me, learn about the university again from the alumni perspective, right? Learn about the federation, learn about the foundation, learn how to engage with these individuals that you see on our websites, right? I think being connected to a chapter really helps you to get involved with the university because you get firsthand information about what's going on with the university instead of the secondhand that you may see on social media. Being a part of a chapter is really important. And I think that a lot of people really need to come to grasp with that. Like, we don't want, we're not asking for your money all the time. We're not asking for you to do 5 recruiting events. Just be there, be present, and be impactful. And my thing is, allow the individual to define how they can impact the chapter, because there may be something that you can bring, whether it's, what you do in a civilian job. You can bring that to the chapter and it can be impactful. I feel like allowing individuals to come to the chapters, get the experience, learn, grow, develop, and you define how you can impact the chapter.
Hear you on that one. We often talk about these roles. We're volunteers.
Volunteers,
Lots of service.
lots of service.
We get all of our community service hours. We're not short on those.
Let's be clear. 93 gas that goes into my vehicles is 563 a gallon up here in DC. No shade to anybody else, but when you're going to these multiple um 10 10, that's another thing. We
We
have
have grown. We have
increased.
grown over time.
We have grown over time. I remember those core 3 or 4 events that are recruiting fairs that we did. And now it's like, once again, we are declining more than we are accepting. And shout out to you and your leadership for getting our name out there. Shout out to our chapter members for always talking Southern. But yes, this is volunteer. We do this because we love the university. And that goes back to what you said earlier. There's many ways that you can love
Many
on
ways.
Southern. It doesn't have to be, season ticket holders. It doesn't have to be access to field suites. Give back.
Yes. So retired,
Yes,
working again,
shamefully.
got a lot going on. How do you, or why do you choose to continue to volunteer your service or dedicate time to the Alumni Federation?
Passion. Growing up, I wanted to be a school teacher. I just knew that I was going to be a school teacher. And I wanted to teach social studies. And then I was like, no, I want to teach math. I just always knew that I wanted to be
Oh,
a
you know I was a
person.
math major, right?
I know. I just wanted to be a person that was able to influence. Just my upbringing. Once again, we've had this conversation many times. College wasn't something that was talked about. It wasn't on the forefront. Um, I was hoping that I would get there. I didn't know how I would get there. All of that to bring me to where I'm at now. I just want to give back, and my passion for doing this as a volunteer is I want to be able to allow or maybe be the vehicle for someone to have the experience that I had. Give that person whose family is not talking about college but wants to go to college, fits the mold for a college student, has the grades, but they're just missing that one thing. And I've always said that I feel like I've positioned myself through my military service, now retiring, now working. Now is the time. Now is the time to give back more than ever before. And let's be clear, I've always volunteered. I've always given back, and it was not something I got paid to do by the university. It's something that I wanted to do. It's something that I was passionate about, and I think that's the difference that we have to, come to terms with. Am I getting paid to do this job so I can hold a title, or I'm doing this because I love the university and showing the true love?
That's love.
That's love.
Okay. So it's interesting because volunteer roles, there are many ways to serve within the Federation, particularly in your various local chapters. Some people start off in one role, first VP. Some go to
Hmm.
second. Some go to treasurer. Some go to sergeant at arms, historian. Run the whole gamut, right? You seem to be pretty solid in your corner, just focused on student relations, right?
Yes.
Why? Why have you explored other areas? Or what is it about that student relations piece that just has you just drawn in and you want to continue to develop in that role and also just give back in that particular space?
So, once again, this goes back to a personal conversation between the two of us. Um, when I received my doctorate in 23, I just knew that I was going to be working on a college campus. I just knew that I was going to land that role where I can fulfill that lifelong dream of just being that person, that influential person. And when reality set in and when I officially retired in 24, it was like, ooh, I'm not getting the feedback that I thought that I was going to get from, these employers. And I think it was that moment that I decided that this is going to be my vehicle. I've been doing the work starting as, reviewing scholarships, doing the recruiting fairs, then, being over all the student relations. And then I just felt like in 23, it was my time to, put my name in the hat for third vice president. And now I feel like it is my time to put my name in the hat for the Federation because I just I want to use my experiences, my tools, my knowledge, my leadership to empower not only the chapters, the federations, and people that are connected to Southern University. That was the thing. I can't work on the college campus right now, so this is my college campus. The students are they are my university, and I've always been driven to serve. Now you define, university however you want to, but I use this as a tool to defining my legacy as a university employee.
Okay. So you just mentioned that you're in the midst of a campaign.
I am
So we see each other in passing quite a bit because we both got very busy schedules.
very busy
Um,
schedules.
to my surprise, this isn't something you would normally do.
I would not.
And I'm just like, okay, he out here crisscrossing the country, flying from one place to the next, connecting with alumni in the virtual space as well, being very, very visible, right? If,
Yes.
if, if something's going on the yard, or whether it's in Atlanta or in Dallas or out in LA, you showing up. So I know you really in this thing, and I'm curious to know like what's driving the motivation now to want to do this work at the federation level.
First things first, you're absolutely correct. This is not something that I would typically do. I rather work behind the scenes and push other people forward. I don't have to take the credit. As long as the work is getting done and the mission is being completed, I'm good. Even when I was on the yard, men's Fed vice president, senior class president, student alumni association president, Jaguar ambassador president, yeah, I was out front, but it was still about motivating others. I would have would have loved to be in the back, but just like then, I saw a need for leadership and for somebody to step in and to make the situation better. And this is my why for now because I've looked at this role over the past 4 years and I said that there's a lot of improvements that we can do with this role. And I feel like the experience that I've gained in the entire world of student relations with our complex, unique, but also dedicated DC chapter, it's prepared me. I don't think there's any other role that I could do in the Federation or even with the university that would prepare me better for the national third VP than what I've done for the past 7 years in the Washington, D.C. chapter. And that is why I'm putting myself out front now. It's time for a leader to step up. not just to hold a title, not to gain access. It is to serve the people. And what has been missing is communication. There's been a lack of communication in this role. We just had, National Signing Day, Academic Signing Day. That's normally a third VP role. Um, I don't know where the communication dropped off, but it should be never a drop off in communication. This is one of the things that we do every year. I reached out to you. I was like, hey, Academic Signing Day is coming up. There's been no correspondence, and it's February. And I'm looking at my calendar, I'm looking at the university's calendar, and I'm looking at everything trying to see. And that's one of the things that I want to do. Just bring back leadership. You need somebody, a leader, somebody that can execute and follow through. And those two things are key: execution and follow through. That is key.
Yeah, and I think we've seen different iterations of the National Third VP role.
Yes.
We've had some really great folks who've served in that role over time and just brought different sort of visions and ways of doing.
Yes.
At its ideal state, what do you think that role looks like, and how does it interact with chapters and or individuals?
I will go back to 2018, 2019. I was serving student relations under our third VP at the time, Miss Kelly King. Was it
Kelly
Kelly
King.
King?
Kelly King.
Yes. I
Kelly
was
Albert at the time.
Kelly Albert at the time. Hey, Miss Albert. Yeah. Oh, hey, Miss King. So, yeah, she was like, Daryl, I think you should join these calls. And I was like, what calls? And she's like, these are the calls that, the Federation Third VP holds monthly to give us updates on everything. And I was like, okay, I could do it. And after the second call, I was like, okay, Kelly, you don't need to come anymore. I got this. So I would attend those calls and bring the information back to Kelly. And what I was impressed with the calls, and at that time it was Miss
Carter.
Georgette Carter,
Out
all
of Washington State.
all the way on the West Coast, all the way on the West
All
Coast,
the way on the West Coast.
all the way on the West Coast,
Well.
the upper
Upper part.
the upper part of the West Coast, and she was dedicated. She was committed to ensuring.
And was flying to DC for our Mardi Gras balls, and still
Yes,
does.
and still does. That right there, that was the thing I always look back on, because her willingness to sacrifice her time and to ensure that we
And
met,
time zones.
and time zones, and she ensured that everyone left that meeting knowing everything, that all the information that she was given in the past 30 days, she relayed that information to us. Also, if there was issues that a chapter had, she made sure that she, got it to the president at the time, Dr. Laquita Thomas. She got the information to her, and they met with admissions, they met with recruitment, because they were serving the chapters, and that is what I want to do. To me, that was the foundation, that was the blueprint for communication, because it's one thing to have a meeting, just to have a meeting to check the block, but what are you going to do after that meeting? You still got follow through. You still got to report. Because if I have a meeting in January and you tell me your problems and I have no update for you in February, not effective. And I hate that. It's a waste of my time, and I don't want to waste people's time.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, I kind of used the word vision not too long ago. We'll call a thing a thing. So you've been on the campaign trail, and some feedback that you've received is, how can you possibly be a third VP and you live in Washington D.C.? And so, oftentimes we think about leadership for the federation as being tied directly to the physical yard.
Yes.
And I think there are also different visions for the role, because some people see that's who you call if you got a housing issue, a financial aid
Yes.
issue, and that you're, as third VP, is supposed to crisscross across campus trying to connect with people to resolve these sort of individual issues.
Hmm.
I've seen third VPs approach it in that particular way as if they're an employee of the university.
Mhm.
But I've also seen people organize with other third VPs across the chapter in terms of just making sure there are clear lines of communication.
Mhm.
What type of third VP would you be?
Um, Thank you for noticing that. Yes, I have been hit with the question, how can I be effective all the way in DC when the students are in Baton Rouge? If I could be frank and candid, I just thought that was a crazy question to kind of ask because there's remote jobs everywhere. You don't have to be at home station. I like to say just because you are physically on the campus doesn't mean that you're making a difference. You get paid to do what you do while working on campus. My problem with that statement is that basically you're trying to negate me from filling this role because I'm not in Baton Rouge. The bylaws doesn't say that as a third VP I have to be in Baton Rouge. Once again, our DC chapter is a very complex chapter because we cover DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And the powers that be also
Ooh, the
feels
Mid
like
Atlantic.
we are the mid Atlantic. So we cover a lot. So why wouldn't a person with those skill sets, that experience, be the perfect? Why wouldn't I be the perfect candidate for this role? I just said that we experienced the leadership under Georgette Carter under third VP, and how she made sure that everyone was informed. My vision as a third VP is clear, transparent, fluid communication. It's not that hard. Arrange a meeting, set a time. First of all, you got to talk to your chapters, number one. Talk to the individuals that are filling the role of third VP or adjacent. Figure out what time works for everybody. It may not work for everybody, but let's come up with a time and a day. We're going to have these meetings, and I want to bring admissions in and on the call because most of the role of the third VP, it funnels through that admissions and recruitment department. And just because I don't post on social media, I don't post pictures with individuals that I know that work on the campus and work in these roles, there's been conversations over the years with these individuals. So let's not get it twisted. I'm well connected with individuals on campus. You may not have seen me with these individuals in, certain places, but I'm well connected. So me being able to address a problem, fix a problem, first of all, it's not my job to fix a problem. I'm there to advocate. I'm there to help come up with a solution that's feasible and realistic. The person in the role of third VP should be able to collaborate with the individuals on campus that work in these different positions to be able to help address any issue or problem that comes up.
Noted. A few weeks ago, I got a chance to tune in. Hopefully, others did as well. To the candidate forum that was hosted by the Alumni Federation. I feel like I walked away with that call being like, I call you Dudley, so I'm gonna call you Dudley in this one. I'm like, he said the red bylaws at least 20 times. It was almost like you had the bylaws in the corner in the boxing ring. Why were you constantly hammering down the bylaws?
First of all, I wanted to hammer down the bylaws because I think we that are connected to the Federation, because of what we've seen, we think that that is the truth. And it's not. I kept mentioning the bylaws because the bylaws states for the third vice president, recruitment, retention, and development. Knowing the bylaws will help you understand what candidate is best conditioned and best positioned for this role. And if you don't understand the bylaws, you won't understand who you're voting for. That is why I kept going back to the bylaws. The second thing is I think there's some areas of improvement with the bylaws, not just for my role, but as an entire federation. You know, being, military background, I'm looking for organizational structure. And one of the things that we've talked about is that, as the third vice president for the Washington, D.C. chapter, I deal with scholarships, um, recruitment, retention, all things student relations. When you look at the bylaws on the federation level, it does not say that the third vice president deals with scholarships. It really, I don't know how many times it mentions student relations. I think it's maybe once that it mentions student relations. And we have to understand what is student relations. Being on campus and interacting with the students, that's not necessarily student relations. When you look at positions across university campuses around the world, it has a very specific description on what the university student relations person is. Just because you're on campus and you're interacting with students don't make you proficient in student relations. Understanding the role is key. Understanding the bylaws is also key. That's why I constantly brought up the bylaws during the candidates forum.
Okay, got you. So as we sort of think through this a little bit, been on the campaign trail. Voting is about to start
Yes,
on May 1st.
May
So if you haven't
1st.
already, make sure you got your plan to vote. You got to already be a member.
You got
So you got time to become a member at this point.
right. Member as of December 31st of 2025 and paid.
Paid.
Right.
Right. So you can't become a member tomorrow. So this is for the folks who are already ready.
Well, let's change that.
You
They could become a member.
tomorrow. Yeah.
You could become a member tomorrow, and we encourage that. You just can't vote in these elections.
Correct. Yes. And so just a few days left before the people are able to actually complete a ballot. What is your message to those of us who are ready to cast our vote? What is the message that you want them to be thinking about when they receive their ballot and are ready to go and select the third VP candidate?
First of all, I don't want people to look at the ballot and say, ooh, I don't know this Dr. Dudley-Govan. Well, I think over the past 8 weeks, or by the time you start voting, well over 8 weeks, I've taken out the time to make sure that everybody across the Federation got to know me through social media posts, through taking a deep dive into my early beginnings to my time on the yard, after the yard, and beyond the yard. And that was important because I wanted people to understand that you're not just getting a candidate or a person for the third vice president that's just some Joe Schmo off the streets. I've been doing the work. And we always say, it's time for some new blood. Well, I consider myself new to, holding a position on the federation level, but I'm not new to the work. I've been doing the work, and the results have been broadcasted. The results have been proven. My thing is that I want people to take away is that it's time for leadership to be at the forefront. It's time for us to start to hold people accountable. When they hold a title, when they hold a position, hold them accountable. And that's what I plan on doing. Holding individuals accountable, making them do the work. Because if we're out here doing the work, at the local level and as volunteers, make everybody do the work, hold everybody accountable. I want people to take away is that I have been doing the work for a long time, and now I'm ready to showcase my leadership on a national level. And I know that this is my time. So if you have one takeaway, that would be it.
You said it's your time.
It's my time.
I, Dr. Ivory Berry, do believe that it is also your time. I have seen you do the work. You have proven your leadership as part of my administration, but even far beyond that, I'm excited to officially endorse you as my candidate of choice for third vice president for the Alumni Federation. And I wish you best wishes as you continue on the campaign trail. And I look forward to helping to rally support for you and your candidacy. So good luck. And thank you for joining us in this conversation. We
Thank
know your
you.
why. We know the platform. We know the bylaws. We know the content. So I don't know what y'all waiting on. When that ballot hit the box, Dr. Dudley-Govan, third VP.
The only choice.
The only choice.
The right choice.